Good morning, and welcome to another FasTrax webinar. Webinars are weekly events that are held on Fridays at 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, to cover various topics of the FasTrax solutions that we have. In order to get to the webinars, you can just go to our website at goftx.com, go over to the FTx Lifeline link, and once it opens, we'll go about halfway down the screen so we get to webinars. From here, we're able to view previous webinars. We can view the recordings. We can register for the upcoming webinars. And we can also subscribe to get notified of upcoming webinars and other FasTrax news. So, and today we're going to be covering taxes within the warehouse software. So we're going to open up Warehouse. And before we actually jump into taxes, there's a couple things we have to do. First, I want to go to Maintenance. And I'm going to go to Settings. And you see under General and Settings, I have the option here of Calculate Tax Based On. As you can see, I'm using the manufacturer list cost. But I can do it by average cost or by last cost. All right, the next thing we want to take a look at is, in order to create tax plans, we have to tie them all together. So the first thing we want to do is create a tax type. Again, this is in Maintenance, and at the top we go to Tax Types. So this is going to be what type of taxes are we collecting. As you can see, I have a few just already set up: alcohol, cigars, cigarettes. I've got one called Everything Else. I have weighted tobacco. These are just your basics that you'll be collecting off of. You know, every state's different in how they collect taxes, but you're going to have a general basis of groups that you have to collect on, whether it be OTP, be cigars, cigarettes, vape. We would just want to create all those categories for your different taxes. Okay, the next thing we want to do is tax groups. So tax group is going to be based off of like a city, a state, kind of a general location of how you'll be doing taxes. And like I said, most cases it's going to be states because each state is different on how they tax and how much tax to collect. So as you can see, I have Alabama and an Alabama city tax. And to add a group, you would just hit Add, type in the name, and then Save Group. Same goes for tax types. Tax types to create a new one, I would just hit Add, type in my tax type, and hit Save. So once we have our tax types created, we then would go to our product lines. So product lines is like our departments. This is where we have everything grouped. So I have cigarettes, I have cigars, so forth. Well, as you can see, if I click on cigarettes, I come down here to Edit. It asks me what's the tax type. So I have it set to my cigarette tax type. So it knows anything that's in this product line is going to get taxed off of the cigarette tax type. For example, I have beverages. That one I have listed as Everything Else. And you just go down the list of all your product lines and tie them to which tax plan they need to be tied to. And if you remember, under my tax groups, I had an Alabama state and an Alabama city. So this is how we tie the accounts or the taxes to accounts. So if I go to my accounts section, so if I do my Alabama Store 1, edit this one, you'll see that I have a tax group 1 is Alabama. So this is going to be grabbing my Alabama state tax. My tax group 2 is Alabama city tax, meaning this particular account has a city tax we have to collect as well. If I go to my Alabama store number 2 and edit this one, I still have my Alabama state tax for Group 1, but as you can see, I do not have a tax for Group 2. That's very important. We do not want to have Alabama in there twice, because then we would be collecting tax twice on any item sold. All right, so the next thing we want to look at is our tax plans. This is how we're going to tie everything together. So let's just open Alabama Alcohol, and the first thing we want to look at is our tax plan types. As you can see, this one is set to percentage, but we also have a flat amount, a size, tax by weight. We have a tiered weighted flat amount. We can do a percent with a minimum, a percent with a maximum, a weighted with minimum, and also a stamp flat tax. This is used primarily for your cigarettes, maybe cigars, where they have to have a state stamp on them. All right, so let's just take a look at the different ones here, and we'll look at how they actually work. So the first one is percentage. So this is my Alabama Alcohol. You can see my tax plan is $12 here. I'm sorry, 12%. So the way this will work is if I go into inventory and I do a new order, and if I select my account, I'm going to add an item. I'll type in an item number. So here is my alcohol that is set for my percent. As you can see, it's got taxes of $3. So what that is doing, that is taking my manufacturer list cost, and it is adding 12% tax to that. So here's my list cost of $24.99. It's adding 12% to that, which is $3 in taxes. So therefore, the actual cost to my customer on this one, or to my store, is going to be $30.24. All right, if we go back to our tax plans, our second type is a flat amount. So basically what a flat amount is going to do is anything that's associated with this tax is going to have a flat tax on it. So if I had this changed to flat amount and I put 12 as my amount, that means $12 will be added for tax for anything in the product lines associated with this particular tax. Doesn't matter the cost of the item. It's across the board $12 in tax. Okay, my next ones, I'm going to kind of cover these together, size and weight, because they work the same way. So I'm going to go to my Alabama weighted here. So Alabama weighted, I've got my value set as 55 cents, and it's doing it per ounce. So what we're going to do with this one is we're going to take a look at an item here. All right, here's my item. I'm using weighted tobacco, which is using my weighted tax type. And the way that it's going to calculate the tax on this one is it's going to take my number in package and multiply that by my weight. So it's going to take the 5 in package, multiply by the 1.2 for the weight. So in total, this is going to be about 6 ounces. So it's going to tax 55 cents per ounce. So 55 cents times 6 is going to be my tax on this item. So if I go back into my order, I'll just open the same one back up. Enter my item, and as you can see, my tax is $3.30. It's basing that based off of my number in package and my weight of the item. Size works the same way. The only difference with size from weight is that instead of using the weight box here, it actually goes by the size. But it would be done the same way. It would take your number and package and multiply that by your size to get your tax. All right, our next one is a tiered weighted flat amount. So the way the tier weighted works is it's a flat amount for different weights and it's tiered based. So if we look at the one I have set up here, what it does is we set it as a tiered weighted flat amount. You don't actually put anything in the tax plan value here because it's not using this one. It's using the tiers down below. So with this one, we can look, the first tier is set for 21 cents. And that is going to be anywhere from 0.01 up to 1.99. So we have this checked as multiply tax by weight. So this is going to work just like the weighted, where it's going to take and multiply the 0.21 times the weight of the product. The next one I have is a value of 42 cents, and it's from pretty much 2 ounces up to 3.99. This one I do not have the multiply tax by weight checked. So what that means it'll do is anything with the weight between 2 ounces and 3.99 ounces, it charges a flat 42 cents. The same thing for tier 3, it's 64 cents, anywhere from 4 to 16 ounces, and with not having the multiply tax by weight checked, it's going to be a flat 64 cents. And these are customizable as well. As you see, report caption, this has got milliliters, so this might be, say, for vape. You can put ounces or OZ if you're wanting to do it for ounces, or whatever how you're wanting to have your report for how the tax is collected. Is it ounce, is it milliliters, or whatever. All right, the next 3, I'm going to kind of cover those together because they're essentially the same as well. We have percent with maximum, percent with minimum, and a weight with minimum. So the first 2, the percent with maximum and percent with minimum. The way those work are, we set our tax plan. So in this case, my cigars are set up as 60% tax. Well, I also have it set up as max is on each. So this is on each individual item. So in cigars case, this is going to be a max of 55 cents per stick. So if I have a box of 20, it would be 55 cents per stick, or it would be the 60 cents for the whole box. So the way the maximum works is it takes a look and it knows it's 60% tax that it's supposed to be collecting. So it looks at that, and then it looks at how many you have items are in the package, and it does the math. So if 55 cents is going to be the maximum we can tax per stick. So if it's 60% and say maybe 1 stick, then chances are it'd be the 60% value. But usually if it's going to be multiple sticks in a box, a lot of times you're going to hit the maximum amount. So an example with this, we go back to our order. I want to enter a cigar. All right, so as you can see, my list cost is $14.90, but my tax is only $2.75. So it is actually doing the 55 cents per stick on this one instead of doing the full 60%. This particular item, I actually have 5 in a package. All right, so my number in package is 5. So the 60% tax was going to be more than 55 cents a stick on those 5. So it used the 55 cents for the tax. The minimum works the same way in the fact that it will still look at your number in package. and it will use the per stick or the per item if it's less than what it needs to be. Otherwise, it uses the full amount. So, say if your tax was, say, 90% tax, and your minimum is, say, the minimum is 55 cents as well. Well, if the number per stick doesn't reach 55 cents, then it will use the percentage. So if there's a minimum tax set on the minimum percent. All right, so our next tax type is going to be weight with minimum. It is pretty much the same way. It's based off of weight with the tax plan value and a minimum amount. So the same thing, if your minimum amount is, say, $1, if your tax at 12% only comes to, say, 65 cents, it's going to use the minimum amount and do $1. You can also do the minimum is on each, which is like the same with the cigar. If it's on each, it takes each individual piece that's in that item. And if it's supposed to be a minimum amount of $1, it would have to tax $1 for each item in that package. All right, our last option here is our stamp flat amount. Like I said before, this is pretty much done for like cigarettes, sometimes cigars. But the way this one works, a stamp flat amount is per stamp. So you're not doing the whole carton together. It's per stamp. So each pack that has to have a stamp on it. In this case, my value is set to $44.35. So if I have a carton which has 10 cigarettes or 10 packs of cigarettes in it, my total is going to be $43.50 for tax on this item. My cigarettes, I also have it set up with a city tax as well of 85 cents per stamp. So if we go back to our order, so this account that I'm using here has both a state and a city tax. So if I go in and add an item that uses my flat stamp amount, like I said, the state tax was $43.50. Then I had 85 cents for the city. So as you can see, in all, this one comes to $52 in tax for this item. So it took the state and the city, adds those together. To show you the difference, if I select an account that does not have a second tax on it, we'll do the same item. All right, as you can see, this tax is just $43.50. So since we don't have a city tax, it's just using the state on this one. All right, and on the tax plans themselves, we covered the tax plan type as far as if it's a percentage, if it's using weight or whatever there. The other thing we want to look at on those is how do we tie those to the accounts? Well, we give the tax plan a name, like this one's alcohol, percentage, the plan value, but then we tie it to our tax group and our tax type. So I have my Alabama and my Alabama city, and then I have what tax type is this. So this is how it's all tied together. If I want to add a new one, I would just do new, give it a name, select what type of tax it is I need to collect, put in my value for my tax, and then assign it to a group and to a type. So if I'm selling to multiple states, for example, what I'd want to do is my tax types would still be the same unless the other state has a different type of tax that they need collected for. I would concentrate more on my tax group. So I would just hit add group, and with us being in Alabama, we're close to Tennessee. So if I wanted to do a Tennessee tax, I could do that and save the group. Then on my tax plans, I would pretty much do the same thing. I would just hit add plan. I'll do Alabama cigarettes. We would tell it that the stamp flat amount for being a cigarette. We'll do the stamp value is, we'll say $2.50. But our tax group, we're going to set that to Tennessee. Then our tax type would be cigarette. And we'd save that plan. So now any account that I have set to the Tennessee tax group would be pulling the cigarettes for Tennessee and charge the flat stamp amount of $2.50 per stamp. All right, that pretty much covers doing taxes in Warehouse. We went over creating your tax types and your groups and your plans and how to tie all those together with product lines, and also assigning it for your accounts to where you can sell to multiple states, cities, and make sure you're collecting the correct tax. All right, I hope everybody learned something today. And just again, as a reminder, the webinars are weekly events. We'll have one next Friday as well at 9 a.m. Central, 10 Eastern. And just as a refresher, to get to the webinars, you can go to goftx.com and you can hit the /webinars, which will bring you straight to this page. Or you could browse by going to just the GoFTX website and then going to Lifeline and then down to the webinar section. All right. Thank you, and have a good rest of your day.